Hey everybody, okay. A little bit of a late start, but it's for a great reason. Riddle me this. What do Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, and Jacoby Brissett, as well as in the AFC, and then Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Kyler Murray in the NFC all have in common? They're all black quarterbacks who were NFL Players of the Week for the first 7 weeks of the 2019 NFL season. And for the first time in history, black quarterbacks dominated the offensive statistics for NFL Players of the Week ever. This has never happened before, ever. And it's worth marking because of the institutional racism that causes us to hear nothing but negative news ad infinitum about black players. I mean, let's consider what happened coming out of college with, well, Jameis Winston, of course, and Erica Kinsman, where he was accused of something that he never did, cleared by 2 courts. But it wasn't enough for those who just wanted to tar and feather him because they were accustomed to having this idea that if a black person was accused of doing something, then might as well be bad, okay? Think about it. And so then, think about it. Think about it. And so then, consider the number of people like Cam Newton. Cam Newton, coming out of college, out of Auburn, was said to not have a heart by Mike Mayock. All right? They said that he didn't have a heart. And then, take a look at Jacoby Brissett. No one gave Jacoby Brissett a chance. A chance. No one gave Jacoby Brissett a chance to be the heir apparent at quarterback when Andrew Luck went on his basic sudden flight of fancy and said, I'm retiring because I get tired of getting hit so much. Everyone was ready to write off the Colts, except me, Jim Irsay, and a number of people, including head coach Frank Reich, who believed that Brissett was more than the next man up. He had the capability to be the man to take them to the promised land. Hey, Rob, how you doing? Rolling Dubs, how you doing? Or take just Deshaun Watson. I specifically remember a news article questioning his intellect, his ability to lead a team. And I remember his retort. He was really understandably upset about that. But look at him now. Deshaun Watson is the main reason why this statistic is so high. He was NFL Player of the Week not once on here, but Deshaun Watson was NFL Player of the Week twice for the AFC. That's right. In week 3 and then in week 5. The total list goes like this. Week 1, it was Lamar Jackson of Baltimore. Remember, by the way, how people said that Lamar Jackson should be drafted as a wide receiver? Remember Bill Polian starting all that mess on ESPN? And people like myself saying, hey, that's racist? Look at how well Lamar Jackson's doing now. Lamar Jackson was NFL Player of the Week for week 1. Then week 2, it was the Kansas City Chiefs' Patrick Mahomes. Then week 3, it was Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans. Week 4, it was Nick Chubb, a running back. Week 5, Deshaun Watson, quarterback. Week 6, Sam Darnold, New York Jets. And then week 7, Jacoby Brissett, Indianapolis Colts. So that was for the AFC. That was for the AFC. And then the NFC, week 1, we had Dak Prescott, Dallas Cowboys. Week 2, Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks. Then week 3, you had rookie Daniel Jones from Duke. Week 4, Jameis Winston, the Bucs. Week 5, Aaron Jones, running back Green Bay. Week 6, Kyler Murray, Arizona. And then, of course, week 7, we had the great Aaron Rodgers. But we had 5 out of the 7 weeks, black quarterbacks were NFL Players of the Week. 5 out of the 7 weeks for the AFC. And then for the NFC, it was 4 out of the 7. If you combine that, it's 9 out of 14 times. Again, that has never happened in NFL history. And it's something to really celebrate and communicate to people. Because, again, we have a media that is that's dominated by white men, let's be honest, that has had this tendency to look for everything bad in a black player and a quarterback. And more often than not, what that quarterback or that person was accused of doing was unfounded. Look at Winston again. Went to court twice. 700 pages of caseload document that few people have actually ever bothered to read in full. I have several times. Nothing. Not even guilty. Nothing. Nothing. And if you bother to look into the case, I dare you to come out of a read saying anything other than, you know what? That guy was railroaded. And then let's take a look at Russell Wilson. Never even considered as a starter coming out. Drafted in the 3rd round. But quietly and efficiently emerged because he was quiet and efficient in his play. And he had the right coach, Pete Carroll, who saw him as a field general who can make a difference and become MVP if they simply designed an offense that took advantage of his unique capabilities, which, if you think about it, aren't so unique anymore. And then Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is probably it really is the only person in the group who's come into the NFL relatively racially unscathed. He was thought to be the number 1 pick. There was no scandal behind him, other than whether he was going to choose baseball or the NFL, if you're going to call that a scandal. He came in. He quite literally fit a system that was just like the system he ran in college, and he has done exceptionally well. The Cardinals right now stand at 3-3 after everyone, including myself, was ready to give up on them. I had them pegged originally as the surprise winners of the NFC West. Of course, right now the 49ers are undefeated, but anything can happen. This is a true milestone. Think of the times before some of you were born when Dodgers manager Al Campanis said that blacks weren't equipped to lead. Blacks weren't equipped to be managers. Okay? All right? And by the way, Spencer makes a point that I didn't even realize. He says, Spencer Pearson says, no one even talks about Baker Mayfield running from police. Also, his public intoxication plus his disrespect to Hugh Jackson. Yeah. And not only that, a lot of the media looked at his disrespect for Hugh Jackson as like an okay thing. I thought it was distasteful. He is the head coach. But then Baker would go out of his way to disrespect Hugh Jackson for ridiculous reasons. And I would always think, well, gee, does he have a problem because his coach is black? Yeah, it makes you wonder about Baker. It really does. And remember how the media, again, the white media, let's be honest, okay? Because this is how this is coming down, was ready to like plug him in as MVP and Super Bowl champion, and he'd done nothing. Nothing. At all. Nothing at all. You can't find a black player that came out with zero pedigree in the NFL, and they were just plugged him in. Arguably, it should have been Kyler Murray that received that distinction. But he didn't get that. You know? So this is a major milestone, and I haven't seen it broadcast anywhere. The NFL Players of the Week has been out, since Monday? I think it was Tuesday. Today's Wednesday. And I looked at this, and not only that, you could take those statistics from the week before and look at them, and it was the same news. But we heard nothing about it. So I thought, you know what, doggone it, I'm going to talk about this. I'm going to open up, even if I don't get a lot of viewers on this, I'm going to talk about it because it's something that I want cemented. Rowan says, didn't Watson win a national championship in college? Yep, Deshaun Watson was Clemson national champion. Yep, absolutely. Deshaun Watson's a national champion. Jameis Winston with Florida State was national champion. You got other national champions on this team, okay? Or almost national champions. Like Kyler Murray was an almost national champion. And then remember the whole thing about, I have to repeat this, Lamar Jackson? Oh, I had him at one point, I said that he should be the first pick getting off the board. I said that would be my choice. I would take Lamar Jackson, plug him in. I would design an offense around him, like what the Ravens have done, right? I said that last year. And then just jumped all over Bill Polian for his comments. I mean, and I met Bill. Nice person, but what happens is you have some people who, they have an image of an NFL quarterback as looking a certain way, like when I was coming, like Dan Pastorini of the Houston Oilers, number 7, tall, blonde-haired guy, looked like Flash Gordon, you know? That was the ideal quarterback. 6'4" guy who could, you know, laser rocket arm type dude, all right? Guys like that. And someone who ran, forget it. If you were a running quarterback, rarely did you come in as a quarterback. You would come in as a running back. If you ever got in the team at all. Look, and then if it wasn't that, look at what happened with Warren Moon. Warren today would have been the first pick coming out of Washington as quarterback if you were to find an equivalent situation but modernize it for today. But instead, he wasn't drafted number 1 at all. He wound up going to the CFL. That was the only time that Warren could get a chance to play as black quarterback. Then when he finally did get his shot in an offense that was tailor-made for a pure passer, the run and shoot at Houston, boy, did he shine. Of course, it's not his fault that against the Frank Reich-led Buffalo Bills, his Oilers defense faltered and blew, what, a 35-point lead? Whoo! 28-point lead, excuse me. John Akala, how you doing? John says, I'm surprised Tyree Jackson didn't make Buffalo's NFL roster. He'll be playing it all. He'll be playing the XFL. He will be a great one. And then not only that, I'm glad you, Jordan Dove says, and then Randall Cunningham came along. But I'm glad you brought up Tyree Jackson. Because what happened to Tyree Jackson this year, what happened to Tyree Jackson this year is a racist crime. He was at the Senior Bowl. They didn't bring him in until the 4th quarter. And in short order, he threw something like 140 yards and scored 2 touchdowns. He had 3 2 touchdown passes. And I remember, and I was getting after Daniel Jeremiah about this. This is on Livestream in a friendly way because I have nothing against Daniel. But the fact of the matter is that Daniel was quite literally making up things to say about Tyree Jackson that were far from the truth. And he would say, and what he would say that Tyree Jackson couldn't do in one sentence, in the next scene, Tyree Jackson was doing it. Specifically, Daniel Jeremiah said that Jackson had to shorten his throws, that his throwing motion was too long because he was gangly and tall, right? Very next play, Tyree Jackson took a 3-step drop and short buggy whipped the pass for 8 yards and a touchdown. Basically, in one smooth motion, and basically in about less than a second, Tyree Jackson made Daniel Jeremiah look bad. And I made a video about that moment. I wanted to capture it for posterity. And sometimes I wondered if, there's somebody in the league writing this thing like, hey, without not saying a name, like not saying a black quarterback, but saying these cue card deal things to utter about certain people who just happen to be black quarterbacks so they don't look so good, right? So they don't sound so good, right? That was what it was done with Tyree Jackson. And someone says, well, Tyree should have stayed in an extra year. Look, there's no guarantee that Tyree Jackson would not have been treated the same way. Tyree Jackson is he has a fantastic tool quarterback. He grew up fast. He's young about the head, but definitely moldable. You will see Tyree Jackson in the NFL. Watch. He has too much talent, raw talent, to just leave out there. I was even saying to John Gruden, the guy that you should be getting after is the guy that you coached against. Here they had Daniel Jones. By the way, speaking of which, have you heard from they had not Daniel Jones, but the fellow that was drafted by the Denver Broncos, Drew Lock. They had Drew Lock on the sidelines at Gruden coach, and they were talking to Drew Lock and Daniel Jones. And Daniel Jones' senior bowl performance was so-so, okay? While they're talking with him, the crowd is going nuts. And everyone's like, what's that? And it's Tyree Jackson scrambling, making this cross-the-body throw for a completion for a first down. These people are going nuts. Okay. And I asked Nagy, the guy at the Senior Bowl, I said, why did you wait so late to bring in Tyree Jackson? And I got the usual song and dance I've gotten from people who just, obviously for reasons that have to do with race, ultimately, see someone who's black and all this stuff is made up about him that winds up tracking his career in the negative. You want another example of what I'm talking about? Because there's a lot of them. Amir Hall. Amir Hall is the 2-time Player of the Year for historically black colleges this last year and the year before. So he should have been drafted. He not only wasn't even drafted, I don't think that he was even taken as a free agent. 6'4", 216 pounds. He looks like the second coming of Doug Williams in his throwing motion and drop back. Throws a nice ball. He was the leader of all performers. Amir Hall was the leader of Bowie State, tiny Bowie State. He was the leader of all players at the regional combines. This year, I'm not talking about last year, this year, okay? So ask yourself this question. When was the last time a quarterback from a historically black college was drafted in the NFL? You have to go all the way back to 2006 in the Seattle Seahawks. I believe it was Tavares Jackson. Okay? That's the last time. That's 2006. This is 2019. Okay. Rob Ivan says, glad to see the 49ers acquire Emmanuel Sanders. I am too, but he's not Colin Kaepernick, which brings up another subject, another related one. Colin Kaepernick takes the 49ers all the way to the Super Bowl, a pass away from getting a ring, decides he's going to rightly protest against police brutality against black men. And so because of that, no NFL team will sign him. I mean, that's ridiculous. Colin Kaepernick represents $3 billion of value to any franchise. Where do I get that from? All the jersey sales he's causing. The fact that he's a civil rights icon. Can you imagine how much wealth he would bring to a team that would sign him? Why, that just shows you how stupid racism is. That's why racism is a mental illness. Pure and simple. Okay? Pure and simple. Pure and simple. Rolling Dub says, I was never a fan of Cap's game. What does that have to do with anything? It's effective. There are different styles here. You have Colin Kaepernick, which probably you're going to tell me you're not a fan of Lamar Jackson's game either. I'm a fan of winning. You've got Jameis Winston. You have a rich smorgasbord of different styles of play within all these black quarterbacks I mentioned. All of them. Rob Ivan says maybe Harbaugh could pitch for Cap in his NFL return. No, because he's a head coach. He's not the owner. This is owner-driven. Okay. Roland Dove says Niner defense carried them to the Super Bowl. No, Colin Kaepernick did. And again, my point is, I'm going to hammer this point home. Okay? And Spencer says that Colin needs to be in the silver and black. But I'm going to hammer this point home. Racism has got to be stomped out at every turn. And the people who can do it are people like you. Okay? I don't care where it is. You have a lot of people who call themselves journalists who are really racist, they're institutionally racist. They want to tell other people how to think about black folks. And they're white. And yet they think they can tell you more about racism than you know as a black person and not ask you what you experienced. Serious. So I'm on a mission to stomp this stuff out. Okay. Little by little, here and there. But I'm being aided by the tide of history. The tide of history is producing these numbers. All I got to do is report them. It's easy. Just sit down, do the calculations, and voila, here we are. But also think about how, because of the style of play these quarterbacks represent, how they point to change in the NFL. And I mean change in a different way. The evolution of the quarterback as a runner, regardless of color. Because, look, remember Tim Tebow? Tim Tebow should thank the Kyler Murrays and the Lamar Jacksons and all the others that have come after him who can run. Because Tim, I always felt that if the read option were installed by Denver, Tim Tebow would still be playing in the NFL today, and his passing would have gotten better. His passing was getting better as it was. But there's nothing wrong with Tim Tebow as a person. There are people who didn't like that he was overly religious. I thought that was ridiculous. You have some people against people who pray. I pray. What's wrong with you? Man. So, but what I love is that because the NFL is getting with it, right? You've got guys like Tua, Rolling Dub says Tebow's arm is what got him out of the NFL. No, Rolling Dubs, it wasn't so much his arm. It was the inability of people to design offenses that didn't call for him to throw in any other way than being in. Because remember, he threw in college, okay? But he threw out of a read option. All you had to do was take what Urban Meyer was doing in Florida and bring it to the league. It was a simple thing to do. But you had this mindset that didn't look online to see what coaches were doing, what kind of ideas are being shared about the internet, and just wanted to stick with what they knew, which was, you know, the I formation and the split back out of the West Coast offense, and a clear delineation between running the football and passing the football, as opposed to the run-pass option or the read option or anything else. Okay? So Tim Tebow's arm is not what got him out of the NFL. It was the NFL. It was the inability of NFL coaches and offensive coordinators to embrace the style of play that he used in college. That's what got him out of the NFL. What got him out of the NFL, as the way I look at it, is the same thing that's getting Lamar Jackson in the NFL. All right? Okay? So, as Ziplin says, too many old school coaches. Yeah, there were too many old school coaches. And I'm sorry, I don't rubber stamp any observation that puts everything on the player and nothing on the coach. The coach is supposed to do what? Teach. That's what coaches are supposed to do. So this is a beautiful time. But the future is even lovelier because you've got Justin Fields, who was at Georgia, but look what happened when Georgia didn't know what to do with him. And Justin Fields was involved in a racist incident toward him. So he wanted out of Georgia. He wanted out of Georgia. Look at what he's doing. That's Georgia's loss. That's a microcosm of what I'm talking about. Then there's, thank you, Rob, there's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. Yep. Jalen Hurts, who was at Alabama. Gave way to Tua. Tua threw that touchdown pass. Oh boy, it was a thing of beauty, man. So you've got Jalen Hurts and you got Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields, and Tua Tagovailoa all coming out, I believe next year. Woo! Look out, man. But look at what's happening already now. People are like saying, oh, it's Joe Burrow, Bill Burrow, Joe Burrow. Well, seriously? We'll see, okay? Although I will say that I like Joe Burrow as a passer. Okay? So I'm not going to put the man down. Rob Iman says, Lincoln Riley would thrive in the NFL. Yes, he would. Yeah. So who do you think would be, if Lincoln Riley, and that's a great point, Rob. If Lincoln Riley were to come out or decide he wanted to be an NFL coach, which team do you think would be the most likely to get him, to bring him in? Which team? Let's figure out who it wouldn't be. Okay, it wouldn't be Seattle. All right. Davian says the Cowboys. Yeah, the Cowboys. Wow. Rob Iman says Redskins. Like 2 Cowboys and a Redskin. I think the Redskins are a better choice because, I mean, you know that the Redskins are in the hunt for a head coach, right? And they've got Haskins. But see, if I'm thinking that if I've got yes, he put Riley with Haskins. That would be cool. Putting Riley with Haskins would be exciting something to watch. Okay. Cleveland just got Freddie Jackson. So you're saying that Cleveland would be willing to part with Jackson, bring in Lincoln Riley for, no, you know what? That's a good idea. Ziplin, that's a good idea. You're right. I stand corrected. Cleveland. Baker Mayfield. That's a great idea. Rob Iman says Jets will be another option. The Jets just brought in Adam Gase. So basically, for that to happen, the Jets would have to pull a Cardinals move, which is, they brought in former Panthers defensive coordinator Steve Wilks to be their head coach, and he lasted just 1 year. Right now, he's the defensive coordinator over at it's not the New York Giants. New York Giants, I believe it is. Atlanta definitely needs a change. Now Atlanta is the one team I could see going for Lincoln Riley, and then going for a quarterback to spell Matt Ryan and just going in an entirely different direction. I could see them pairing, because not only that, I was hesitant in what I was about to say, because I believe that Cliff Kingsbury being paired with his old college quarterback is going to be the new wave in the NFL, because now you've got this almost perfect mating between football strategy in the college ranks and NFL strategy. So now you want to say, okay, hey, who's coming out, and can I get their coach and bring the coach with them, right? Something like because that's what Arizona's doing. And if Arizona goes to the playoffs with that formula, you watch, somebody's going to copy that. All right, someone's going to copy that. John Acosta's Chargers. I don't see Anthony Lynn getting fired though. I don't see Lynn getting fired. I see them changing style to move on from Phillip Rivers, but that would mean having to bring an offensive coordinator, and I can't see Lincoln Riley wanting to come in the NFL just to be an offensive coordinator. He would want to take the Cliff Kingsbury route if he did that. The other question is, why not get an Eric Bieniemy, right, to move over and become head coach? And then we have to figure out around the ranks the offensive coordinators who know the air raid style of offense and can bring that into the NFL. Because now the ranks of people in college who are air raid experts, their chances in the NFL have just opened up like that. I mean, wow, the NFL is going to be really exciting next year. Not that it's not exciting this year, but man, you just wait until next year. Woo! Okay. Rob Iman says Lynn is safe. Chargers need to draft a quarterback. Dave Neal says, I'd love to see Mike Leach in the NFL. So would I. Mike Leach, Kevin Sumlin. I thought Kevin Sumlin would have been the best pick for the Raiders before they brought in Jack Del Rio. Kevin Sumlin, to me, runs the real Raider offense. Kevin Sumlin runs the Raider offense that Al Davis would want the Raiders to run. Kevin Sumlin runs the Raider offense that the late Al Davis would want the Raiders to run. Pure and simple, okay? Pure and simple. And next to him is Mike Leach. I mean, just some exciting offense. Rob Iman says, I think Kyle will add air raid elements to his playbook in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan? Yeah, I agree with you there. I think arguably he already has some air raid off. He has, this is off the top of my head, but this is just from briefly talking with him. I think of all the coaches that could mate West Coast concepts, Bill Walsh concepts with Mike Leach air raid concepts, Mike Leach and Hal Moon air raid concepts, it would be Kyle Shanahan. I think he could do that very well. Plus, I think he could mix it in with the zone blocking, inside zone and outside zone, and then voila, you have the Colts offense under Peyton Manning. If you start thinking about it, right? Yeah. By the way, the Raiders-Packers game is on the NFL Network. I've been kind of watching it, sort of. I got it on NFL Game Pass. Not right now, though. Okay. But this is exciting stuff. You've got, and then the question is, who are the leading passers in college? Let me check that. Leading NCAA passers right now. Let me see here. Oh, and by the way, on Oakland News Now, which I really encourage you to read, in Oakland News Now, there's a great article post by Dave Squires entitled "Where do the Atlanta Falcons go now?" Check it out. It's a great read. Well done by Dave Squires, who lives in the UK. Okay, so NC2A passing 2019. Let's see where we're at right here. Passing yards. Let's go with the player. 2019 college football player statistics. Washington State University is Anthony Gordon. 2,981 yards, 8.6 yard average, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. QB rating of 166.6. Joe Burrow of LSU is number 2. He's got 2,484 yards, 11.4 yard average, 3 interceptions. 3. A rating of, get this, 216.2, which right now blows everybody away. I mean, well, almost everybody except for Shane Buechele of SMU. So you've got Joe Burrow, you've got Cole McDonald, of Hawaii, Jack Abraham, Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa of Alabama, who also has a rating of 212.4. Shane Buechele of SMU, Josh Winsink of WMU, Jalen Hurts of Oklahoma, Sam Ehlinger of Texas. So those are your top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Those are your top 10 passers right now. Okay. Well, breaking news: chaos and arrest at Oakland school board meeting. Whoa. Oh boy. Okay. Why do I feel like Oakland's falling apart into this racist cesspool of racism and well, from the outside it looks that way, and homelessness and everything. From the inside you get there's pockets of really great people and stuff going on. I haven't been back to Oakland in 8 months. Anyway, let's see here. Jacob Eason, Washington. Jacob Eason's going to be another great quarterback. See, I don't see, and this is a great bellwether what's going to happen next year, because I don't see Jake Fromm on here anywhere. I'm going down among the top 20 passers. I don't see of Georgia, right? The guy that the Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields is way ahead of, okay? But I see Purdy, Hurts, Oklahoma, Jacob Eason of Washington, and this Justin Herbert of Oregon, who I'm kind of like, whatever. But I don't see is Russo, Tommy DeVito, O'Hara. I don't see at all Jake Fromm. It says show more. Hold on. Justin Fields of OSU. Yeah. Jake Fromm is way down there, 1,406 yards. He has a 152.2. Justin Fields is much better, has a 190.2. Justin Fields, Jake Fromm is shaping up to be a second-round pick right now, maybe third round. How do I see Justin Herbert doing in the NFL? I see him low first round. I see him as low first-round pick. But definitely a solid first-round pick. Definitely a field general. Definitely the kind of guy that you want to run the modern NFL offense. I see him as efficient. He's not a Lamar Jackson. Lamar is, this is how Lamar has changed things. Lamar and Kyler Murray have both changed things, because we're not talking about Herbert as the Heisman guy anymore. Okay? Because if you even just look at his stats right here, he is, he's way off in the top, he's in the top 15 roughly, but he's not in the top 10. So we're not talking about him for the Heisman. Burrows, we're talking about for the Heisman, certainly. Gordon, Burrow, McCall, Jack Abram, Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa of Alabama. That's your top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your top 7. Okay, but Justin Herbert is not. He's not in that discussion. He was last year, remember that? But he's not in that discussion this year. So if you're not in that discussion, as was Kyler Murray, and for a time Lamar Jackson, okay? If you're not in that discussion, you're falling into the late first round or the second round. However, if you were in the discussion, it would be high first round, okay? So that's how that's shaping up right now. Zippin says, are the 49ers legit? If they win 8 in a row, the answer is yes. The reason why I say that is because if you go back and you look at every Super Bowl's team winner, not the loser, the winners that got there, they've all rattled off, not all of them, but the majority of them have rattled off, because I can think of a couple that didn't, 8 straight wins. The one that sticks out to me that didn't, that really had a rough go of it, that at one point was 9 wins and 5 losses, if memory, 4 wins and 5 losses, if memory serves, was the San Francisco 49ers. And they went on like a 3-game losing streak. And, Bill Walsh threatened to quit. Eddie DeBartolo was upset. This was the 1988, 87-88 version of the 49ers, okay? That wasn't the first time they won the Super Bowl. That was different. But the time where after this Bill Walsh quit, that year, they were, it looked like at one point the 49ers were going to come apart at the seams. And I remember it was after they lost to the Raiders 9-3 at Candlestick. And the score really should have been worse than that. The Raiders quite literally manhandled the 49ers. It was not funny. Okay? It wasn't funny. And Bill Walsh had, I think, one of the worst game plans of his career. Calling, end arounds that were Jerry Rice was getting stuffed in the turf. It wasn't a wide open approach. It was like they were afraid to open up. It was like they're almost afraid of what they thought the Raiders are going to do. It was like, yeah, that's how Bill called the game. Okay, I'm serious. That's how Bill called the game. He'd have those moments where then he had these other moments where he was trying to be too cute by half. In other words, I remember when before I was playing the Falcons at Candlestick, and this is how Bill was. Bill would quite literally waste a portion of a game plan during a game to call a play again and again and again just to prove a point to his players that he wanted something done. In this instance, they had installed a play that came out of Brown formation, Brown left. And if you're wondering what Brown is, well, I'll just draw it up for you right here, okay? This is Brown formation. You would say, why do they call it Brown? Because it was created by Paul Brown. When Paul Brown was coach of the Cleveland Browns, and then later the Bengals, okay? This is, I'm drawing this out. I should bring you over. Yeah, I think I'll do it like this. There, okay? This is Brown formation, folks. See if I can get my pin in the right position. Yeah, okay. So guard, tackle, left guard, left tackle here, quarterback under center. This is the fullback, all right? This is the little Brown formation. We'll put him halfback here, okay? And then the tight end is over here. I'll call the tight end Y. Tom Landry would call the tight end Y. Others would call the tight end X, okay? The split end is here. Tom Landry is coach of the Cowboys. Z is flanker. This is what we call a slot. Okay? We call this a slot. So this is Brown formation. Now, Brown formation is always characterized by the halfback being in the opposite position from the tight end. Okay? So what Coach Walsh had installed was this particular approach where he had the halfback and the fullback going here and then here, and Montana would turn around and fake, take 1 step and 2 steps here, okay? And the tight end will go up and he run up roughly 7 yards and out, okay? And then the split end would go up and was supposed to run an in pattern here. Now, he had the tight end in this drag across, okay? Like there. That's the play. It was a new play, but because of the way the Falcons were playing it, and they were playing it tight 4. Here, 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 okay? They played linebackers up close in those days. This was 1987, okay? So, cornerback, they're playing off like that, okay? Conventional set, right, in terms of defense. But they're playing tight. And the way they were playing, it was interrupting the drag pattern. Because really the idea was to clear out here. The thought was, okay, the linebacker would come in here and get confused. They were expecting a run, but it wasn't. So they would react to the run, and it was supposed to clear out for the tight end. The trouble is that when he came out, they were hep to it, and they kept they slowed him down. So what happened was that by the time Montana came back to throw, he wasn't here, and Montana was getting sacked. Okay. And Bill was losing he didn't actually lose his lunch, but I thought he was going to lose his lunch. He was going berserk. So instead of just scrapping the play, right, he would run it again. And the same damn thing happened. It was hilarious. I'm thinking, he's actually going to waste the game doing this? I'm sorry. It's one of these things that's just is etched in your mind. You'll never forget. But, and something else, even just looking at the play, because I think the play is a cool design. But if you think about what I just drew for you here, right, as a staple, all right, you can see how the Niners emphasize the run. And I could see, now if I wanted to modernize this play for somebody like a Lamar Jackson, right, instead of having the drag here, I would have the fake, but then I would have the flanker here go quick out this way. I would fake this, have him, say, take 1 step and throw it out that way, right? Because the idea is your linebacker is probably going to be coming in like this. So in fact, you don't even want to have the fake. Why? Because in executing the fake, these guys are so fast today versus the 87, they can come in and crack it. So you could just go with the action away without even faking. Let the flow of the play do the fake work for you. You understand what I'm saying? Because to the defender, it's going to look like the possibility of a fake. So the quarterback doesn't even really have to do anything in terms of carrying out actual fake. Because this is one of these instances where carrying out the actual fake will cause the quarterback to get killed. Just let the flow work for him. All right, so what you'd have, fun stuff. Take a look at this. What you'd have is this, okay? So you'd have, instead of him doing that, right, because you got this, goes out here, right? That's it. He takes really 1 step and goes out to the flat. Doesn't really gain much ground at all. The quarterback instead takes one fake and stops here. Forget this part. And what he's looking to do, and this is a pre-snap read. Okay, if the linebacker is close like that, all right, you're not even going to look at him. You assume that he can't get out of here. So you're taking that one step. You're not even faking. Taking the one step. You take a turnaround, but don't fake. Take the one step here and then just boom, throw. It'll be a high pass to the flat here with the idea that he can catch it and run up. Okay? There. Now, if the linebacker does what I call the 21st century move, which is way up here, that means what? That means you've got time. So you take that time, come out with a fake. He goes here. Tight end here. I don't drag him all across this way. This is what I do. I send him out deeper. That way he doesn't have to worry about getting caught up in the wash. Because by the time you start timing this out, if he's not open, you got to think that he's going to be open. Because look at what we've got here. We've got cornerback, safety, right? So more than likely, if he is here, and if he's going to give him, if you're going to play too deep, this is what we're looking at. Fine. That's why I want him here. Because if the linebacker's here, he may get sucked in here, right, on this fake. Actually, he will. So we have the line blocking. So the blocking here, they're sending the flow this way. Quarterback fakes. The flow's going this way. The defense goes this way. So we have it open up here and here. Now, do I need the in pattern? No, I don't need the in pattern. What I want is an alert. I want deep. There. Okay, so that's 1. 2 is the primary. 3. Got it? 1, 2, 3. And we throw to 1 when we have close. 1 is really your alert because you're coming off this, and if he's obviously open, you just throw it. If you know you've got a matchup, you've got a guy like an Antonio Brown, and you know that you got too deep. You've got the linebacker here. Maybe the linebacker goes out for double team. If the linebacker blitzes, the answer is easy. You're going here. That's easy, okay? But if he doesn't blitz, if he hangs in the zone, that's fine. Let him hang in the zone, right? If he hangs in the zone, you've got a deep zone here. You've got single coverage. Exploit it. You want to exploit this. So what happens is that when you're going to throw this, you're coming out here. By the time you've broken the huddle, or if you go no huddle, you've made up your mind. You're going here first. The only reason you don't go here first is he's covered. He's not open. You say, fine, boom, I'm throwing here. Why would he be covered? Simple. Because he's back here waiting for him. Now, if it's bump coverage, right, it means you got a chance. So you guys got a chance to beat him. It's a foot race. Exploit the foot race. Now, if it's double coverage, you have the safety going over here. Don't test it because that's interception. Forget it. Go here. Just take your short little route and go up here. But if the safety's back over here, if they're overshifted the other way, and you're getting a bump coverage, boom, do that. You see what I'm getting at? Okay. The whole purpose is to increase the certainty of a completion or a touchdown. You want to have somebody that's adjustable. So that's how you modernize what Bill was doing. Because at that point, Bill assumed he was going to, and Bill would design plays where he would assume he got time. And what irks me about a lot of the way NFL plays are designed is that there's no accounting for the fact that players are faster. So you have to take something that you've read in a playbook that's like a decade or 2 decades old. And if you're not asking the question, hey, can I get away with running that play today? You're doing your team a disservice. You're doing your team a disservice. You have to take your plays, you have to modernize. That includes spacing. I mean, some people run their, like Gruden did this last year. His offensive line spacing was horrendously tight. So you got a guy blitzing from the outside, you're basically shortening his line to the quarterback. Car's getting creamed. That happened a lot. John looked like he wisened up this year. All right. Okay, so I guess nobody else has anything to say. I guess, did I get too technical? I'm sorry. This is the stuff I like. Note that I talked about scheme. This is fun stuff, man. This is where it's at. You know? Learn this stuff. This is fun stuff. This is where it's at. All right. So tomorrow night, tonight I was supposed to have my friend Anthony Carrillo on, who actually is a great offensive coordinator. He was for a semi-pro team in New Jersey. But he's a big Jets fan. He's got 3 kids now, and he's found a wonderful wife. And he found a wonderful wife and then had the 3 kids with her, right? Okay. But he's my guest on tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We're going to talk about the JTS Jets. He's covered the NFL draft with me and with other folks, and an all-around great guy. I can't wait to have the Carrillo Cannon, because he played quarterback, on the show. Carrillo Cannon. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tomorrow, today, 9 o'clock. All right. All right, everybody. Good night, and live long and prosper in your world. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you.